Your lecturer calling you baby. Your lecturer asking you to send him naked pictures of you.
Most of the time, people don't really know the views that persona have that affect cultural and social conflicts, economic matters. Who are the most vulnerable groups?
Very patriarchal society.
Economic abuse.
Men dominate women.
Gender-based violence does not only happen to women. Ignorance gives rise to gender-based violence. Most of the time, people don't really know the law. Who are the most vulnerable groups?
Sexual harassment is acts or even words that are used to suggest.
There are many ways to define sexual harassment because it can happen in the workplace, it can happen at school, it can also happen on the street.
Usually we say that inappropriate action towards somebody else.
By virtue of us being human, we all have similar traits that are embodied in all, if not most of us.
What I would say is that it is not necessarily about women, or it's not necessarily about young girls. It actually cuts across the border.
Anyone really can commit sexual harassment, but usually it's people who feel they are in power of some sort.
It doesn't matter whether you're a man or a woman, it's just that it's ambiguous to see and very obscure, but it happens across both genders. Some of us young women actually come on to men and we kind of define them in the same way as men think about it, like, I'm giving you my attention, so you should be happy about it.
I would say that in terms of being sexually harassed, it would be women who are coming forth with these issues. So I can maybe conclude and say that they are the gender that's much more facing this challenge.
If you believe that you are being harassed at the workplace or at work, the first thing that one has to do is to talk to that person to say, I don't like it when you do this and that.
There are cases where men have been sexually harassed, and it's a gender dynamic thing that is still on debate. You know, men don't generally come out if they are experiencing, in abusive relationships, whether or not they're sexually harassed because of what society has deemed to be a man.
Secondly, I believe that every workplace has a policy on sexual harassment. So the next step would be to now engage your superior to say, I've been harassed, but I've talked to this colleague of mine and they seem not to understand, and based on our workplace policy that section so and so, I feel that you need to call them in so that they can be disciplined as per that policy.
There are many avenues and many options available.
But in cases where there are no workplace policies, we do have the Botswana Domestic Violence Act of 2008, which stipulates some of the fines in some of these offences, such as sexual harassment. And if it's not working at organizational level or at the mediatory level, that's when you can engage the courts. You can go through the police, or you can go straight to the magistrates, because the Domestic Violence Act stipulates clearly the steps that one has to take to file such a complaint.
But the thing about it is that there is no one place where you can go and say that there's been an act of sexual violence committed against me and you would get proper due process in the same way as any other crime. Yes, you can use indecent assault, but even then the elements they are very, very different and do not apply in the same instance as sexual harassment. So I'd say that taking yourself out of that environment, approaching the proper authorities would be one of the most effective methods of getting yourself out of that situation.
Tackle the issue head on. It's unacceptable, it's inappropriate.
One can seek counseling to be able to deal with those situations. But also one should also be confident that, this was them claiming the right to be protected.
The question now is, are all these avenues credible?